I'm on my way to Fort Washakie on the Wind River Indian Reservation to see the chosen homeland of a hero of mine. Chief Washakie was a brilliant tactician and a great hand-to-hand fighter. But perhaps his greatest skill was as a statesman who could see through the great challenges that came to the tribes of the western United States in the 19th century.
Native American history is pretty hard to line up with hard dates. We like our hard dates, but they weren't using our calendar. So his headstone says born in 1804 and died in 1900. Some historians believe 1804. One historian believes sometime around 1810. I tend to believe more like 1798. His family believes it was in 1798. He was born somewhere near what would be present-day Salmon, Idaho, and at a young age he lost his father to the Blackfeet. That combination of coming from two different tribes and losing his father to the Blackfeet would have a big effect on Washakie later in his life.
When Washakie was young, he worked as a trapper, selling his fur mostly to the Hudson's Bay Company, which was based out of Fort Vancouver. Later, he moved east, eventually living in the Green River Basin and Wind River Basin. His people here, easternmost of the Shoshone, faced challenges from other tribes, most notably the Blackfeet.
Washakie and his people allowed the trappers and the mountain men and their rendezvous to take place on Shoshone territory. And this was actually good for the Shoshone tribe at the time because it helped them stay ahead of some of the other tribes with specific goods they needed, most important being ammunition and guns. But in the 1840s, the wagon ruts that had helped those supplies come out to the rendezvous started becoming the wagon ruts of settlers that were moving to the West Coast. And this brought a lot of hardship. Most of those settlers were living off the land as they passed through Shoshone territory, and that meant the wild game was becoming scarce. This led to a lot of hardship for these people.
The land that he considered his home and his homeland was land that most of the country had to utilize to access the other side of this continent.
The immigrant trails decimated the bison and elk herds and made it difficult for the Shoshone to survive as hunters.
Despite the hardships, Washakie had a long-term vision of a homeland for his tribe, and he had a plan of how to get it. Perhaps because of his time spent with Fitzpatrick and Bridger, some of the other trappers, he believed that the white tribe that was moving to the west was not only more technologically advanced, but was in far greater number, and that they would soon be dominating everything out in the west. He actually thought that other leaders like Spotted Tail and Red Cloud and Wakara were foolish to try and fight him. So he had a standing order with all of the people of his tribe. That order was, you cannot steal from or harm white people. We need them to be our allies.
At the same time he was having to work on relations with the white tribe, Washakie also had to fight some of the other tribes. Most notably were the Crow, who, like the Shoshone, claimed the Wind River Valley, the Valley of the Warm Winds, as their territory. In the fall of 1858, a huge battle broke out between the two tribes.
During that battle, there were a lot of men that were they were losing men on both sides, and rather than that happen, Chief Washakie made an agreement with the Crow chief, and he said, "You and I will fight. There's too many men that are being lost. You and I will fight, and whoever's the winner, their tribe will agree to leave if their chief loses. And this is where I'll meet you." It was down below. It was along the river down below where Crowheart Butte is. That's what they call Crowheart Butte, but that was a landmark. And he said, "We're going to meet there, and that's where we'll fight."
Washakie, who had a reputation as the greatest warrior in the region, won that battle almost as soon as it began.
But there's a message that's even larger for me, that's more meaningful. And that is as the leader, he wasn't putting people out there and saying, "Fight for me," or "Give your life for me," or for this reason. He was willing to do that himself, and he was willing to fight and go to battle himself. And a lot of times we see leaders in today's world where they'll put other people out there to do their dirty work, basically. But my great great grandfather wasn't like that.
In 1868, after years of discussion with his American allies, Chief Washakie signed the Fort Bridger Treaty, granting his people the Valley of the Warm Winds as their reservation.
He's one of the only chiefs in history that got to choose where he wanted his reservation to be and where he wanted his people. And that took a lot of skill and in a number of different areas to be able to negotiate with the white people and to be able to tell them, this is where I want to live and this is where I want my home for my people.
Washakie's service to the United States went to a new level in the 1870s. He and hundreds of Shoshone warriors would serve at the Bates Battle, the Dull Knife Battle, and at the Battle of the Rosebud, he would be credited as having saved General George Crook's command from the Lakota chief Crazy Horse. Chief Washakie passed away on February 20th, 1900, at the age of 102. He was buried a few days later with full United States military honors.
But I would say that the greatest legacy of my great great grandfather, Chief Washakie, is the example that he is to not only to our tribe and to our people as a leader, but to the world.
I spent the last couple of years researching and writing a book that focuses on this great man. In the Valley of the Warm Winds is historical fiction about the fur trade, mountain men, the immigrant trail, and the conquest of the West. But above all, it tells the story of Chief Washakie in the eastern Shoshone settlement of the Wind River Valley. If you want to learn more about Washakie and his place in Wyoming's history, In the Valley of the Warm Winds is a great place to start. It's available through Amazon and at your local bookstore.